The missing variable. Part 1. The assumption beneath everything. Consider how much of what you know rests on something you have never examined. Every map ever drawn begins with a decision about where the edges are. Every measurement begins by trusting the instrument that measures. Every story you tell about your own life begins somewhere. And that beginning was chosen, not discovered. We are a species that explains. It may be the truest thing about us. We wake into a world that arrives without instructions, and almost immediately we begin to account for it. We name the things we see. We trace the lines between cause and effect. We build, out of fragments, a picture wide enough to stand inside. And the picture works. That is the strange part. Our explanations carry us across oceans and through entire lives. They let us predict and prepare and trust the morning to behave like the morning before it. But every explanation, no matter how complete it feels, eventually arrives at a place where the asking stops. Not because the answer was found, because the ground had to begin somewhere. There's always a first assumption, a value taken as a given, a constant no one questions, because questioning it would mean the whole structure must be rebuilt from nothing. We do not usually notice these foundations. They are too close. They are the floor we stand on while we point at the walls. And the floor by its nature is the one surface we never think to look at. So begin here, with quiet and unsettling thought. What if the thing we cannot explain about existence is not hidden in the complexity above us, but in the simplicity beneath us? What if the answer is not far away and intricate, but near and silent and assumed? This is not the search for a conclusion, it is a walk through a landscape of clues. And the first clue is this: everything we understand depends on something we have agreed not to question. Part 2. The shape of time. Begin with the thing that carries everything else: time. You feel it passing right now, a current, steady and one directional, moving from a place you call behind you toward a place you call ahead. The past feels finished, the future feels open, and you ride the thin edge between them. The moving point you call now. So, this is so obvious that to describe it feels almost foolish. Of course, time moves. Of course, it flows in one direction. We have built every plan, every memory, every hope on this single arrow. But notice something: you have never actually seen time. You have only ever seen change, a shadow lengthening, a face growing older in the mirror, water finding its way downhill. From all of this motion, we infer a river beneath it, and we call that river time. What if there is no river? Not in the sense of fantasy, not vanishing clocks or impossible journeys, something quieter and harder to dismiss. The possibility that we are not watching time as it truly is, but as a creature shaped to survive within it is forced to see it. A being who must eat and avoid danger, and remember which paths lead home. Such a being would need to feel time as a line. It would need a sharp division between the moment that just happened and the one about to arrive. Direction would not be a discovery, it would be a requirement. And so perhaps the arrow is not a property of time. Perhaps it is a property of us, a lens we cannot remove, because we have never once looked at anything without it. Consider the strangeness hidden in plain speech. We say a moment passes, as though it leaves and is gone. But where does it go? We speak of the past as a place. We cannot point to it. We speak of the future as approaching, and it has no location at all. We have wrapped the deepest mystery of our lives in words, so familiar that the mystery disappears inside them. It may be that time is not the thing that moves, but the thing we move through, or neither, or something for which we have no word, because we have only ever had the one angle, and from a single angle, even a vast and turning thing can look flat. Hold that quietly and walk on. We have looked at time and found that we may have been looking at it wrong. Now turn the same suspicion inward, toward the one who is doing the looking. Part 3. The continuous self. You believe you are the same person you woke up this morning. You believe you are, in some essential way, the same person who was a child long ago, in a body that shared almost nothing with the one you were now. This belief is so deep that you doubt. It feels like vertigo. And yet almost nothing about you has held still. The body you have is not the body you were born into. Its material has been replaced, quietly, again and again. The way a flame keeps its shape while the substance burning within it is endlessly renewed. The thoughts you think today are not the thoughts of the child. The fears have changed. The voice in your mind has changed. Even your memories are not preserved like objects in a sealed room. Each time you return to one, you touch it, and in touching it, you alter it, and you place it back slightly changed. So what exactly continues? There is a feeling of being a single unbroken self, a thread running through all the years, someone who has been here the entire time, watching, but search for that someone directly, and you will not find a thing. You will find only the searching, looking for the one who looks, and there is only one more looking, and there's only more looking. It begins to seem that the self may not be an object at all, not the core, not the stone at the center of that everything else is wrapped around. It may be closer to a motion, a pattern that holds a shape precisely because it never stops moving, like a wave that crosses an entire ocean while not a single drop of water makes the journey with it. The wave is real. You could never be knocked down by it, but you could never hold it in your hands because it was never a thing. It was an event the water was doing. Perhaps you are an event the world is doing. And if that is so, then the question of who you are becomes far stranger than it first appeared. You are not asking what kind of thing you are. You are asking what kind of process. Not what am I made of, but what am I happening as. We assume the self the way we assume the floor. We build entire lives upon it. Every promise, every regret, every sense of owning a past and being owned the future. And underneath all of it sits a foundation we have never once turned over to examine. Two assumptions now. The shape of time, solidity of the self, both taken for granted, both on close inspection, dissolving into something we do not have words for. And the pattern is beginning to form, though we cannot yet see its center. Part 4. The long arrival of consequence. There is a third place where our explanations quietly break, and it hides inside one of our most trusted ideas. The idea that things happen suddenly. A structure stands for 100 years, and then falls in an afternoon. A relationship holds, and then ends in a single conversation. A body is well, and then without warning is not. We call these moments sudden. We experience them as ruptures, as breaks in the ordinary surface of things. But almost nothing is sudden. The sudden is only the moment a long, invisible process finally crosses into insight. The structure had been failing for years. In places no one looked, or long seems to notice. The ending had been arriving slowly in 1,000 small turnings away. The illness was old before it was ever left. What we call an event is usually just the instant a hidden accumulation becomes too large to ignore. We see the fruit I call it the beginning, but the fruit is the end. The beginning was the seed and the dark and the season we have already forgotten. And this should trouble us gently because it means that the present moment is not what it appears to be. It is not a clean slate, it is dense with consequences already set in motion, outcomes already forming, results that exist now, fully real, fully underway, not yet visible. The future in this light is not empty. It is not a void waiting to be filled by our choices. It may be closer to a photograph, slowly developing in a darkened room. The image is already there, already determined by light that fell long ago. We simply cannot see it yet. We mistake our blindness for the thing's absence. How much of what will define your life has already begun? In causes you cannot perceive, moving toward a visibility that has not yet become. We assume that the unseen is the unreal, that what has not yet shown itself has not yet happened. But the seed is real before the tree. The crack is real before the fall. And reality, it seems, does not announce its outcomes. It only reveals them. Afterward, when the revealing changes nothing. Part 5. The missing variable. So stand here for a moment at the meeting of three roads. We looked at time and found that we may be reading it from an angle we cannot step outside of. We looked at the self and found something flowing where we expected something solid. We looked at consequence and found the future already present, already forming, hidden only by the limits of our sight. Three mysteries, and notice what they share. Each one fails at exactly the same kind of pace. Each one is complete and confident, right up until it reaches a single unexamined assumption. And there it stops, not because words ran out of answers, because we ran out of questions. It is the recurring shape of every deep inquiry. The structure rises beautifully, explains almost everything, and then arrives at one quiet constant it cannot account for, it cannot remove. A value that simply must be assumed for the rest to stand. And here is the thought that this whole walk has been moving toward, slowly the way the truest things arrive. What if it is always the same assumption? What if time and the self and the hidden arrival of consequence are not three separate puzzles, but three faces of one missing piece? A single variable absent from every equation we have ever written about existence, and absent so consistently that its absence has shaped the very form of our questions. We would not be able to see it. That is the nature of a missing variable. It is not the error in the answer. It is the gap in the question itself, the thing we never thought to include, because nothing in our experience ever pointed at it. You cannot miss what you have no shape for. You can only feel again and again that something does not quite close. And we do feel it in the moment the final answer turns out to rest on one more assumption, in the sense that our most complete picture still have a seam running through them, in the quiet conviction, beneath all of our explaining, that something near and enormous has been left out. This narration will not name it. To name it, it would be to pretend we have already found it, and that pretense is the very thing that has kept it hidden. The honest act is not to fill the gap, it is to finally see that the gap is there. The open door, so we enter where certainty ends. Not with an answer. Answers close. And what we have found does not feel like something closing. For all our history, we have assumed that the deepest questions remain unsolved because reality is too vast, too intricate, too far beyond us. But perhaps it was never the difficulty. Perhaps reality is not what's holding its secret behind the wall of complexity. Perhaps it has been resting it the whole time on something so close and so constant that we built our seeing around it and then forgot it was there. A missing variable, unnamed, unmeasured, present in everything, accounted for in nothing. You will leave this and return to a world that looks exactly as it did, the same time moving in its single direction, the same self feeling unbroken, the same sudden events arriving without warning. Nothing has changed. Except perhaps one thing, a small unease where there used to be a flaw, sense that beneath the explanations you trust, there's a question you have not yet learned how to ask. Sit with that. Do not rush to resolve it. Some doors are not meant to be walked through quickly, only noticed and left open. We have not reached the end of the search. We have only just found the place where it begins.